shame because we had some quite good footage on there before, but I'm sure we'll get plenty more. Okay, then, Juan, can you time to unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about your life and what's inspiring you and what you might hope to get out of this as we continue to progress forward into a deeper level.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Gian. I don't like to introduce myself as a practitioner because, okay, I got the degree, but I didn't do much with it. I just have the knowledge, let's say, but I didn't really practice. I have a TFT practice certificate and I have an NLP practice certificate. I learned a lot, but I didn't put much in practice. I have to admit this part. What I do, I'm in business, so I don't have much like time dedicated with NLP, but I use it for myself and people around me. I'm not professional. I have a lot to learn. I'm always here to uplift my energy, as I told you before, and to learn from everyone because you are all experts. I mean, I have to admit this part.
I don't know that we're all experts, but we all have some experience.
You are. You put me to sleep like this.
And do you use it for marketing at all? Is that in your business? Is that something that you might you might like to explore using NLP for?
Well, I didn't think about it this way. I'm at the time being, what I do is I just use it for myself and people around me just to help them to get out of issues, problems, depressions, and even myself with anxiety.
Yeah.
But I didn't think about implementing it into marketing, honestly. I know that a lot of people do, but I didn't get to that stage yet. So I don't know, maybe one day.
Okay, well, you know, maybe you will. I mean, this is kind of where we're going with these meetups. As we get deeper into them, we're going to be writing stories, and we'll be we'll be looking at ways to use stories to lower people's resistance to the persuasion of the message that we're trying to put out, and to compel them to take action in a softer, more natural way. And I'll give an example of that later. But you're doing fantastic, Joan. And I notice we've got Pascal here. Good evening, Pascal. I'm guessing you've got no video or audio at the moment.
Yeah. Can you see me?
Yeah, good evening. How are you doing, Pascal?
Yeah, good. It's been a while. Yeah, good, Giles. How are you? I'm
good, thanks. You know, it's Tuesday evening. This is the second meetup in this series, and we're going to do we've just been around the room and introduced ourselves a little bit. We do a quick recap on what we went through last week, and then I'm going to hand it over to Grant, who is going to talk about some of his ideas on positioning and pre-framing. I've known Grant for many years. He's a very good coach, and he's been in this game for a lot longer than all of us combined here. So, and then we'll get started. So, I'm curious, Pascal, perhaps you could introduce yourself to the group a little bit and give them an idea of your background and what inspires you in life and what you might hope to get out of this as we move forward.
Oh, yes, thank you, Giles. So I'm Pascal, and I live in France. I've got a French name, but I'm actually English. And Giles and I met on a Zoom call following an NLP practitioner's course in 2019, I think, in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then afterwards, well, Vivek is also part of the group, organized like a lot of Zoom calls to practice NLP. And so my background is I I've done all sorts of things in my life, but then I did a coaching course and really wanted to set up as a coach. I'm a yoga instructor, but it's always something is always blocking me to, I don't know, I can't seem to manifest getting myself out there. And now I'm actually going to start applying to get back into like my previous world of just working. I need to get a daytime job basically, because I haven't been able to get myself out there properly as a coach. And I think, yeah, I still have certain issues to resolve within me, self-belief, what deep, probably subconscious things. And so I'm really curious, to see what this group has to offer. And I'm really sorry I haven't been able to see your the last week's Zoom yet, but I will. And so I just think these groups can be very enriching. I'm really looking forward to it. Because I think, I know I have somewhere so much to give, but I also have a lot of things holding me back in my mind. So
it seems like there's something holding you back there.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully as we move forward, you'll find out what that is, and as that happens, you'll gain more clarity and more confidence, and the more certain you can become.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I really hope so, because I just it's just been 3 years of trying to get myself to be, to do what I want to do. And I think I lack a lot of clarity still as to who I really am in my own identity. I think, we have ideas of who we are, and they're real filters into who we really actually are and what our potential is. And I think, I still have a lot of these filters that are clouding my own vision of myself, that are inhibiting me to fulfill my full potential, if you like. So, yeah.
Well, you're definitely in the right place. I mean, between myself, Grant, and Jason, I'm sure we'll be able to obliterate any doubts or negativity or anything that might be holding you back. We won't be able to do all of that tonight, but as things progress more and more, we'll certainly find examples of how we can do that. One of those, which is quite dear to me, as we'll go through later on, is dealing with negative voices, because we all have these voices inside our head, and half of the time it's not our own voice. It's someone else's voice that's defining us. And what I can say from experience is I spent 50 years of my life being defined by other people's opinions of who I am. And it wasn't until I learned how to just stop and just tell those voices to shut the hell up and start to think about who I really am and how I want to be, that things began to finally change. And that will lead us on into the recap that we're going to do quickly now before Grant starts speaking about metaframes and our internal our internal frame of reference, our internal beliefs of who we are, because without having that in place, we're pretty well at the mercy of everyone that comes into our path. So anyone that has a stronger frame, we fall into it. A good example of that is like if you are at school and you're queuing up for your school dinner and some other kid comes along and just barges in your way and what have you, and just looks at you as if to say, well, you're in my way, sort of thing. How dare, unless you have been trained in martial arts, or you've or you have some pre-framed response of how to deal with that allows you to regain your composure and your strength. You're at that person's mercy. They've outframed you, and you're going to take a frame that is one frame below that other person. So that's how bullying in schools actually comes forwards, and that can have a tremendous effect on your self-esteem moving forward. So I'm just going to see if I can share the screen on here and get last week's slide presentation up, if I can find it somewhere. Where's it gone? This is not good. Technology is always. So let's come back here again. I've got that in the foreground. And here we go. So let's get this. Let's just go back to the beginning quickly on here. So this is just a recap of what we did last week. This is a little bit about me. You didn't really come here to learn about me, so I'm not going to really spend much time in this, other than to tell you that I've been into NLP since 2015. I'm a master practitioner of NLP for what it means, and I'm a certified hypnotherapist. And I'm just running this event to clarify my own experience and expand upon the knowledge that I already have, and to ultimately create a template for a future course in persuasion. So it's about using stories to communicate to other people. It's aimed at people like coaches, hypnotherapists, and generally agents of change and transformation. Last week, this was what happened last week. We covered, I said we were going to learn something very simple, which you can use today. I'll recap on this again in a moment. We talked about using extended quotes as a way to put a message across, which allows you to distance yourself from the message you're saying, because it's not you that's actually saying the message, but it is you saying it, if you know what I mean. So it will become clearer as we get to the example. So what are frames? They set up the context and the boundaries of how we interact with other people. You can think of them in a way as being like filters or lenses of perception, different viewpoints, different positions that we follow as we observe people in the world and our position in the world. There are also a set of beliefs, assumptions, and values that need to be accepted as true in order for the communication that actually follows to make any sense and to be valid. And when I say beliefs and assumptions, they don't even have to be true, but we have to act. When we create our frame, we have to believe that they're true, and we have to act as if they were. And that will be more apparent when we get into meta frames. So simple examples of frames: a time horizon, position, and distance. There. So just putting frames into context, we're looking. If you look at this now, just an innocent little fish swimming around, blissfully, happily, just swimming in the water, not even aware of the water around him, doing what all happy little fishes do, just being a happy little fish. And then as you widen the frame, you can begin to see a different perspective. There's a different lens. That fish may not even be aware of the other fish around it, the danger there. And then you widen the frame even further, and then you get this big monster of a fish that's going to eat everything there. So how we view things, what lens of perception and what filters we use to examine our perception, it colors immensely how we view things. So if we come back to that, I mean, this is, say this little fish is like, I don't know, let's say that little fish is a little COVID-19 gene or something like that going around the room. And what the government decided to do was to put everyone in a box, and they decided that they couldn't interact with one another. And in doing that, they you know, in doing that, they created another set of problems because, you know, when you widen the time frame and what have you, you see other horror stories like depression, domestic violence and things like that thrown into the equation, and people being unable to do their jobs. And then fast forward a year later, and then you've got the monster of a recession and things like that there. So, you know, it really depends which lens that you're looking at. You know, when you look at the wider picture, there are always consequences. But if you look at the small picture, the way the government has dealt with this has dealt with this problem is a little bit like a man who chops his fingers off to solve a nail biting problem, because it solves the problem. It solves the immediate problem, which is he can't bite his nails anymore. But without looking with regards to the you know, to the wider consequences. So moving on from frames, there are two types of two things that we're going to be talking about in the first couple of meetups. We got the meta frame, which is how we walk through the world and how we view ourselves internally, and we got positioning, which is how we pre-frame ourselves to our audience, and how we position ourselves to our audience, and position what we offer to our audience within our own given area of expertise. And this can be very subtle. As we get further down the line, we'll talk about we'll talk about other stuff, which will be like Cialdini's principles of influence and persuasion. There are, you know, there are 5 or 6 principles which he talks about, which is liking, reciprocity, commitment and consistency, social proof, scarcity, unity, and various attributes like that. And then we'll be looking, those are what we call omega strategies. And we'll be looking at, sorry, they're alpha strategies. They're designed specifically to get people to take action in a given context. And we'll be looking at omega strategies, which are really designed to lower people's resistance to persuasion before you actually before you actually launch into the alpha strategy. And this has a lot to do with pre-framing, which Grant is going to be talking about shortly in this, because it tells people what to expect and how to interpret the message before we actually give it. I'll give you a good example of how a pre-frame works. Was one that Magdalena gave us last week, which is she was looking for ideas for her website, for the headline that she wanted to put on there, and she came up with this idea, which I thought was quite profound. You know, bearing in mind she deals with dementia, which is never an easy thing to deal with. She came up with this headline, which said, "Dementia, the magic shift." And that really made me wonder, because immediately it's shifting people out of the space of being stuck like that little fish in the tiny little box there, into the wonderful world, into the magical world of possibility. So whatever her message is, and no matter that comes after this, and no matter how debilitating it is, she's actually sweetened it with a spoonful of sugar in there, and it will, her audience will view whatever she says afterwards, coloured through the lens of hope, that there is possibility other than just sitting back and resigning to the fact of it. It's extremely powerful. I don't know whether you would like to add any comments to that at this stage, Magdalena.
No, it's actually one thing, because we're talking about language. I remember talking to my mentor, and I'm talking about the mentor who is dementia mentor. I'm an empath. I'm very I'm feeling their pain, right? And so I'm telling him, as you know, Giles, how much I love sunshine, and I'm looking at my best friend who is 96, who is in the end of her life, who has last stage of dementia, and I call it suffering. And he says, do not say they suffer. They live with dementia. Our job is to make this life as valuable as possible. If you tell people they suffer, they will. And this magic shift is to make people understand that what we think and the pain we feeling is not helping the loved ones we're looking after. So shift your perspective and give them joy, give them, you know, love, because that's what they want. They feel misunderstood. They obviously they're communicating in a way we are not used to. Strange things are coming out of their mouth. Their memories are shattered and then glued together in straight sequences, which we correcting straight away. No, this is not like it was. Auntie Mary wasn't, married to Uncle John. Uncle John was married to Cynthia. They don't need it. It's for us. So this magic shift is like, for me, magic is powerful. So that's why it's congruent with me. Magic means everything is possible. And that's why I did it. But the way you came up, you made me understand what it actually means from an NLP perspective. Oh, that was powerful for me.
Good. Well, that's a sign that great learning is taking place. Well, I'm conscious of the fact that we are actually a little bit behind schedule tonight now. So I think I'm going to metaframes. I may revisit those later if there is time. If we don't have time tonight, that there is the recording of last week's meetup, which is out there, that explains them in some detail for any newcomers today. So I'm going to introduce you to Grant now, formally. He has as a life coach, he has a life and a business coach. He has a cracking cracking pre-frame for what he does, and he refers to what he does as the art of extracting latent potential. And while you think about that, Grant, I've known for a number of years. He's fast becoming one of the most sought after names in human communications. He's an international speaker. He's a transformation expert. He's a certificated trainer in NLP and hypnotherapy, and a best-selling author, and has run his own radio show. He's got over 19 years, and over the years, he's helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business organizations, and organizations in 15 countries to improve their profits quite substantially. And what he likes to do is he likes to help his clients to create and design their own future, to design their lifestyles the way they want to be, and to take the stress out of their lives, to reduce the stress, and have more fun doing the things that they love doing, and to create more time to do them by and by creating more wealth in smarter ways. And with that, I'm going to hand the floor over to you, Grant, and let you talk about why you're here and what your message is.
Thank you, Giles. Thank you very much. Thank you for that great introduction. Thank you. So let me ask you, how many of you would love to learn how to position yourself? Good, good. Thank you. And how many of you would love to learn how to do that without paying a single penny? Good, good. Then hopefully I'm not going to be wasting my time tonight on yours too. Yes, I am Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, international best-selling author, NLP trainer, hypnotherapist, and human behavior specialist. But all these are just titles for things which really mean helping people. But firstly, I would like to thank some people in the room today. And firstly, those people are you. Because you come from work, you come from business, you come from everywhere you've been doing, and you've invested your time on being here to learning how to position yourself, how to pre-frame yourself so that you can help more people. And that, I'll come to that in a moment, but that is something that's very special to me. And I would also like to say a big thank you to Giles for running this meetup, because Giles, I know, has done many great things in his life. We've known each other for a few years. And I was thinking today about all the times in our lives that we've been around but never known each other. It's taken until, you know, the last several years until Giles, Jason, and myself have bumped into each other. And Aria, you know, in recent times we've bumped into each other through a similar modality, and yourselves tonight. And life is a wonderful cocktail of experiences of bringing people together. So I want to thank Giles for doing that. So can we just say thank you to Giles and give him a big hand, please, for that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Grant, so much for
Giles.
actually being here and sharing your experience and passion for what it is that you do.
Great, thank you, Giles. Well, okay, so you heard about what the great things I do, and I love it, and it's a great life, and it's wonderful. But was my life always that way? Was it always the case? No, no. There was a time when I had a business several years ago, quite a few years ago now. I had a business which seemed to be going quite well on the surface. It was nice. I was, you know, working for myself. I had clients. I had people working with me. It was great. I loved it. It was good. Until one day, one client cancelled the contract without warning. Well, okay. Bad luck. These things happen. Carried on. I had more clients. Doesn't matter too much. Carried on. 1 month after, bang, another client cancelled the contract. Strange. One, could be bad luck. Two, a coincidence. Carried on. 3 weeks after, another client cancelled the contract. I was, to say worried would be the least. I couldn't pay the people who was working for me. I couldn't pay the bank. I couldn't pay suppliers. And I couldn't pay myself. And the worst part was I kept it all inside. Worst of all, people still kept coming to me and asking me questions like I'm the guy with all the answers. And I felt that I didn't know anything. In fact, at that point, I felt that everything I'd learned in my life was useless. And I felt completely useless. It was an awful time. It was a time when I just didn't, nowhere felt like home. I just didn't know what to do. But fortunately, I became curious, really, really curious why 3 clients had cancelled the contract and I hadn't seen it coming. Because none of them were upset with the service, by the way. They was all happy with the service. So it didn't make sense. So I started realizing that at some level, I must be running some pattern that was attracting this to happen. Does that make sense, by the way?
Yeah.
So I started looking around, books, training, coaches, managed to get a coach. I remember going to events with a credit card to pay for the train fare. and having no idea how I was going to pay that at the end of the month. But fortunately, I realized that it doesn't really matter because I couldn't pay the bills anyway, and it's better to get this information. And that's what I did. And I went around and I got coached. I managed to get coaching. And that was a whole order. My first NLP training course, how I got into the course was a combination of various credit cards and things and getting in and even getting threatening letters while I was on the course.
Sounds so familiar.
Yeah, right. And I did that. And I remember someone saying, do it next year. And I said, I cannot wait a year. It had to be done. Anyway, so I did it.
Was it a gut feeling? You knew that you have to do it in order to
had to do it. Had to do it to
get yourself out of it.
Because I was going down fast, and it didn't matter about saving a tiny little bit of money. That would have made no difference.
So it wasn't a desperation, and I have no idea what to do. I can do this as well. It was the knowing that's the way to get out.
Fine. Good. So you need to learn how to turn it around. And this is the story I want to tell you.
Yeah, okay.
The important thing is how to get around and turn this around and keep going up, despite what the little voices in your head are telling you. So I carried around and I got this training, and then I started getting coaching, and I learned from the best of the best. I strapped it all together. And fortunately, then things started turning around. I started to realize what had been going on with those clients, or what had been going on with me not to see what was going on with those clients. Then things started turning around. I earned the money back. I paid back the suppliers, the people who worked for me. I paid the bank, and I paid myself. And now clients who come to me, apply to work with me, pay me first. And I choose who to work with. And life is completely different. But the really important lesson for me was that I realized at this point that if I'd gone through that situation, other people must have too. And they also were suffering in silence, and perhaps just didn't take the same route I did to get out of it. So that's when I made it my mission, my purpose in life, to help as many people in the world to do great things, even when these are happening, to understand what's going on in their mind. So in some parts of the world now, I'm known as a success pilot because I'm on a mission. I'm building a global movement to skillfully navigate 1 million leaders from surviving to thriving by helping them to communicate their message with the world so that they can leave the world in a better condition than what they found it, and also to build a lifestyle and a legacy to last for generations and generations to come. That is exactly why I do what I do today. So, how many of you would like to learn how to position yourself? And how many of you would love to do that without being boastful? Good.
Without being?
Boastful.
Oh, what's a boastful thing?
Big-headed.
Oh, okay. Oh, me.
Good, good, good. Okay, so let's look at this then. I want to talk about stories. So what did I just tell you, by the way? What did I just tell you just now?
Story.
A story, a true story, which isn't easy for me to say because it's about an embarrassing mistake that I made years ago. And I know, I'll tell you what that embarrassing mistake was. Those clients who didn't pay me never paid anyone. I didn't do, yeah, so it was nothing to do with me. My self-value was through the floor. In fact, I did a fantastic job for them and they all knew it. I had the privilege of going to chase one of those debts one day and go there to find someone in a competitive company who had obviously taken over after I'd pulled out. Went there and that car was drew up in a great haste and a furious manager got out and argued with a client. And I saw this from a distance. And I like, yeah, I was just one of many. I could see what was going on. Repeat, repeat, repeat. What happened? I hadn't done any due diligence. You know why? I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to know. One client hadn't paid me, then I had another one. This one will get me out the problem. Then the next one. And I've never known anyone to have a string of bad luck like that. Or was it bad luck? Was it not my best luck? because it made me really search for the answers and be here today. And I'm very, very happy nowadays. Well, I'm really happy. And that may not have happened had this thing have happened. It really slapped me around the face and made me take a long, hard look. So the point was this. There's a story. There was a story when it all went wrong. I didn't do the due diligence. I didn't look, because he said at one point when I complained, oh, Grant, there's plenty of other companies who do what you do. And I said, oh, no, it's okay. You know, we can leave the bill a bit longer. Nowadays, if anyone says that, I'm off like a shot and I help them find another company, because that to me is a big red flag. What was really going on was my value system. My value system was really, really low. So I had to work, not on business skills. I had them. They weren't helping me. You can go and buy a book on the mini MBA and learn business skills. How come everybody who reads the book isn't rich? It's about what's going on here. People learn new software, new skills, new qualifications, but they miss the vital thing. They don't learn how to operate themselves, which is pivotal to absolutely everything we would do in our lives or our businesses. Okay, so looked at this, turned it around, went around. So I want to share with you a couple of things about positioning. Advertising versus positioning. Advertising, how many of you have spent money on advertising, by the way? How did you get on with that, guys? Did it work? Did you do well? No? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Very well, really.
Very well, Giles.
No, not very well at all, really. I trained my ad account very, very quickly.
Right, thank you. So it's an art form. Now, Alan Sugar, as you know, actually, I see Jan's really having a move around there and a conversation in the background. But yeah, Alan Sugar, who's a billionaire, he's a billionaire, isn't he? He's a billionaire in our country, a real entrepreneur. He said he's written books on advertising, checkbooks. And you can get it wrong and spend your whole checkbook on an advertising if you don't know what you're doing. See, advertising is about, this is why you notice Giles introduced me. Why? Because if I say about myself, I said it here just for the purpose of this exercise, but usually I don't introduce myself. I have other people introduce me. Why? Because if I say, hey, I'm Grant, I've done this and it's great, it can sound a little bit boastful. If somebody else says it, that's an introduction. That's positioning. Okay. Anyone, I spent 19 years teaching networking, professional business networking across the world, and talking about a thing we call a third-party introduction. Now, if Giles wants himself introduced, there's nothing better than having somebody else saying something great about him. This is really effectively PR, public relations. Now, you may want to write this down. But advertising is what you pay for. Positioning is what you pray for. This stuff is powerful. However, there's a caveat. How many of you want to know what it is? You've got to earn positioning. So this is not, you've heard the expression, fake it before you make it, right? Like recently I wrote, become an international best-selling author. I wrote in this book, The Law of Brand Attraction 2. It was a book that we co-authored with, you must know, Dr. John D. Martini, the world-famous guy. We wrote this book with him, a group of us. And I wrote on the section about value. And my part of the book was really about, can you fake it before you make it? And I won't go into all the details, but effectively, I would say, don't do that. Because from a human behavior point of view, when you're faking something, people can read it. We are instinctive animals. We're still primeval. We've still got the genes from when we were cavemen and women. When something's wrong, ladies, when you meet a guy and he talks to you and he just doesn't feel right, you know that thing? You can't put your finger on it, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah, Guys, when someone comes up and talks shit, and you just don't, you know what I mean? It's something going on. You can feel it. That's your primeval instincts. Yeah. This is the oldest part of your brain coming up. So years ago, when a caveman would meet another caveman, they would look at each other and they had 4 thoughts. This is long before language, only 4 thoughts. And that is it going to kill me? Do I kill it? Shall I mate with it or shall I eat it? That was as complicated as life got. That part of the brain's still there. That's still there. This is why we do a thing called an eyebrow flash. We do it all the time. You see someone, you go, oh yeah. It's that kind of, and you wait for them to do that back, which kind of means they're friendly. This comes from a certain kind of a baboon that still does this, and we do it. So if you do a friendly eyebrow flash like this and someone grimaces back, you go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Right? This goes back to millions and millions of years ago. And this plays out every part of our day. So if someone's faking it, you can subconsciously tell. A micro expression takes 1/400th of a second. So you can't compose those things. Those nice kind of smiles like that, they look cheesy because they are. They're constructed. They're non-symmetrical because when you try to construct it, half your face goes here, half goes there. It's not natural. And we've had all of our lives to read this and see it, so we know. So if you're going there telling people you've done this and that, and it's not true, guess what? They can read it. It's a slight shoulder twitch. It's a slight withdrawal or a twitch like this, a slight upward question in your voice, like, I built lots of companies. You sound like you're not even sure about it yourself. You can read the stuff. So don't fake it before you make it. However, is there careful wording that you could use to emphasize the best you've done? 100% you can, 100%. If none of you guys have been hypno thoughts when I presented, have you? But when I did, I spoke about how to take your accomplishments and package them up into 30 seconds and to give them into, which is effectively an E-pitch, which is very, very powerful and absolutely true. Okay, and I can probably make all of you sound great because you are great. You just may not know where the best parts of your story are and where to bring them out. Okay, so that's it. So it's positioning. So it's really a third-party testimonial is the most powerful thing, i.e. if someone else can say it about you. Does this make sense so far? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Is it good? Now you can use it for you. Now, telling versus showing is great. So I want you to think about this. If it helps you, just now or later, just jot down some of the best accomplishments you've made either in your business or your associated business. So tonight, before I came here, I was going to talk about something slightly different, but listening to you and where you are and some of the challenges you said you're having, I kind of thought I'll adapt it to positioning, pre-framing, but around your challenges so you get more value. Is that okay? Yeah? Is that okay? Cool, cool. So let's think about this. We've got quite a few people here who are hypnotherapists or NLPers or training. Is that right? So I think you probably know that when it comes to hypnotherapy, where in the whole process, where is most of the hypnosis actually done? Okay, and at what
The
part?
first moment of contact.
Right, it's in the pre-talk. It's all done. It's like building a house. How does a big house stand up for thousands of years? By having a strong foundation. Most people, and this shatters a lot of egos of hypnotherapists, but actually most of it is done before they even sit down in the chair. This is why it's important that you have the pre-frame, you have the positioning like a YouTube channel or things such as this or videos of you or testimonials, because you look at it. Now look at it this way. Imagine you was going to go into a boxing ring with someone, right? And this person was known to have knocked out so many people every time in the first round. Da, 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 da. How would you feel before you got in that ring? you'd be pretty much defeated before you even got in the ring, wouldn't you? Because you would think, well, based on past history, I'm going to go down pretty fast. Hypnosis is the same. Now, Jason, you were there. You were there, right? You were there the night when we had this hypnosis meetup, and I'd come off a train. I got there, and there was all people there being hypnotized, and there was one spare guy. I've just thought of the story, right? And he was all there, and I didn't know he was there. I couldn't remember until you mentioned it after. You said you were there, and I walked in, and Kim said, "Oh, here, Grant, can you hypnotize that guy?" And there was a guy sitting there, right? Paul, his name was, and he sat there. I said, "Hi, Paul." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I've read lots of books on hypnosis. Not a great Simon. I've read lots, you know." So, okay, so he's going to be following structure. Okay, fine. And you just want to get going? Said, "Yeah, I can't relax." I said, "Yeah, I gathered." And he was kind of like this. And I said, "So," and I didn't do any pre-frame. I didn't tell him any of the qualifications I had in hypnotherapy. I didn't tell him how long I've been doing it, who I was within the group, or nothing. Anyway, and I put him into hypnosis for a little bit. And after a while, he came and said, I don't think it's working. Well, it was, but you just panicked and brought yourself out of it. And he said, and he said, "So what are you? Are you like, what do you do for a living?" I said, "Well, I'm a coach and a hypnotherapist." And he said, "Oh, that's what you do as a living?" I said, "That's your full-time thing?" I said, "Yeah, I mean," oh, and then I told him my qualifications, where I've trained, how long I've been doing it. And then I said, "You better put yourself back in hypnosis pretty quickly." And he said, "How?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know how you got out, but like, you better find a way back in." And he went really deep. And then he just went deeper. And we call them floppers, don't we? Right? Some of them, and he flopped right over. I mean, he must have been incredibly fit. I've never seen anyone bend over so much. He was really deep. And then afterwards, when he came out, his friend walked past and said, "F, that's deep." And then he woke up and said, "F, that was deep." And he went. And I got a WhatsApp message a little while ago, about a year ago, and said, "Hi, Grant." And it was some advertising thing. I said, "Sorry, who's this?" He said, "Oh, hi, Grant, it's Paul." And I said, Who's Paul?" "Sorry." He said, "Oh, we met at a hypnotherapy group." I said, "Oh, great. Which one? Which country was this?" He said, "UK." I went, "Oh, great. Sorry, Paul, which one in the UK?" He said, "In London." I said, "Can you help me out, Paul? Just, I know a few, which one in London?" And he told the group. I said, "I've met a few Pauls at that group." He said, "You'll remember me. I was the one who couldn't be hypnotized, but you hypnotized me anyway." And I said, "I remember you." Jason, right? You remember him? Remember the guy?
100%.
Right. Now, what was the difference? At the beginning, I didn't really tell the story about who I was, what I'd done in hypnotherapy. And he resisted and thought, "I don't think this guy's really a hypnotherapist." When I told him, "Oh, no, I do this all the time. I've done it for people," he went super deep, proving the fact that doesn't mean I'm a great or a bad hypnotherapist. It just means most of the work is suggested before the process starts. Positioning, my friends, positioning. Okay, so it's so important that you position it well. Okay, rather like the boxer in the ring with the accolade, you're going to be quaking in your boots before you get in the ring. Okay, so with a hypnotherapist, they know you're going to be taken care of safely. This was the guy who wouldn't let anyone hypnotize him. He wanted to, but he wouldn't let go. Well, he did once he knew he was in a safe environment. So think about your positioning. Think about what it is you want to do. Somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was yourself, Pascal, about things holding you back. Okay. Now, a lot of people hold us back. So I want to help you a little bit with that if I can, with just a couple of ideas. And one, which is what you've heard of before. Now, if anyone's heard this before, I'm sure you have, don't worry about it. Because if you've heard it before, there's a reason, and a Rio will know this. There's a reason. If we've heard something before, don't just think, "Oh, I've heard that before." You're hearing it again for a reason. Either because you didn't really do it the first time, or you did it but didn't do it enough, or crazily you did it and it was working and then you stopped doing it, or you just didn't share it with enough people. And I believe everybody has got brilliance inside of them. So it is your duty, I mean, to work on this and bring it out. So if there's something that's holding you back from doing the great things you can do in the world, it is that word that's being overused. It is, what is your why? And I really want to dig into that, your why. What is your purpose? So, or said in other ways, what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you just won't tolerate not doing in life? What are the things you must do before you leave this planet? Think about that. What must you really do? What must you say, I cannot leave this planet without having done that? Because that will not be a complete life. Because I can tell you something, no one's going to complete your life for you. Not me, not Giles, not Jason, nobody. You are responsible. And that's a key word. You have the ability to respond. And it's time to step up and respond. But perhaps not for yourself. Perhaps for those other people. Perhaps for those people with dementia. Okay? Perhaps for those people. We need to step up. Now, there's a nice little trick in this. That when we, and I help people with stage fright and things like this, oh, what happens if I say something wrong? What happens if people think I'm silly? What happens if they heard it before? That's ego. That's our ego. We're scared what people think of us. My friends, this is not a dress rehearsal. We haven't got time for that. There's people out there who need our help. You've all got fantastic or are achieving fantastic modalities. Aria with processing. Giles with his wonderful language patterns. Jason is a great NLP trainer. Pascal, I can feel just your energy from what you're doing. And of course, I don't know what you're doing there, what you said for people with dementia is a magnificent thing. I know the work you do. And Joanne, your humility and what you're saying, yeah, you're more professional than you know. You know, you came in and said how vulnerable you were. These are wonderful attributes of leaders. And as I say, I'm on a mission to help leaders, 1 million leaders, to go from surviving to thriving. So that, if I'm really honest, it's not just about you, it's about the people that you can help and to leave a ripple. So that becomes a legacy. That's important to me, okay? So that's why I listened to what you all said first, and I love that. So if we focus on the people we want to help, and this is why you want to really dial in on who you want to help, the people that you really love. I'm coaching a lady now who's bringing water to Africa. She's going to run through Africa. She's in conversations with Nike and Shell and people like this. She's a runner because she cannot leave this earth without bringing water to Africa. She's even, her husband's in one country, she's just flown to another country to do a dress rehearsal to run from Vancouver to San Diego. That's just a warm-up, just to advertise the main event. That's how, I mean, she teaches people how to run 200K, and I'm WhatsApping her saying, keep going and doing mindset stuff for her. That's what I mean. When you find something like that, your nerves go away, you get out of your own way, because it's not about you and it's not about me. It's about the people we can serve. That's something bigger than us. That can be your why. That will position you, and that will part the ways. Life gets out of the way when you do something. When you're doing something bigger than you, I don't know, I can't explain it, but Jason and Giles, you know what I mean. Stuff gets out of the way. It gets weird when you do. Aria, you know this stuff. Some of the training we do, you understand what I mean. Life gets out of the way when you do this stuff. It's very powerful if you choose to tap into it. Because,
sorry.
Yes, so carry on.
So for example, I don't know, is this, can we be interactive in the discussion?
I was just about time. Yeah, but go on, just.
No, it's just like, you know, like the why. I've been working on it for like 3 years, right? I've done a number of courses and stuff. Right. But for example, for me, it's like, I know one of my highest values, and I've done the DeMartini online values, you know,
yeah, right.
stuff, and brilliant. And I know, for example, mine is my daughter, you know, she seems to go before working, before anything. And, but I feel like what I have to bring to people, everybody else can do it better. And I think that's what's stopping me. So even though I have my why,
Okay.
everybody else can do it better.
So let's have a look at it. So you mentioned your daughter as your why. Okay. And other people can do it better?
I mean, me looking after my daughter, like being with her, being present, where, you know, like spending time with her.
Yeah.
Is my top value. But
Mhm.
for me to earn the money, I feel like that's where it's not congruent for me, because I feel like whatever I want to do, or if I'm trying to coach, I can't get myself out there because I know I'm not obviously comparing myself with other people and they do the same thing and they get it out and they get it right. And then wow, they're so much better.
Okay. Well, may I ask a couple of questions around that, Pascal? Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so your daughter, I don't know the background. Is your daughter got sort of special needs or something like this, or just a regular daughter?
Yeah.
Right. Well, when I talk about something bigger than ourselves, I would say something outside of our family, because most people love their families and would do anything for the families. So if I'm talking about helping, getting rewarded financially, for example, there's many ways to get rewarded, but if we just take finance, for example, that is a result of helping more people on a bigger scale. So people love the husband, they love the wife, they love the children, love the parents, but don't generally get paid for that. Okay, that's something you do.
Absolutely.
Part of your family unit, it's part of your values. But I think if you're looking at something bigger, like the lady, for example, who's running Africa, they are not in her family. She doesn't even know them. Okay, so the idea of this book that we wrote was to do it quickly, so that it gets you out of your way. Because is it my best piece of written work? No. And my little voices were going crazy, but there was a deadline. Because in life, do we have deadlines? Yes or no? All the time. And they don't care what's going on in our life. It doesn't matter. They're still there, relentless. So it had to get it out there, because the idea was it's not about our ego. That may impact on someone who means something to someone who will never buy from me, I will never know. But if that inspires some other person, maybe in 20 years' time, to do something great and help other people, then that's something bigger than me. But by default, money does come in from that. Okay, so I would respectfully say, of course, you're going to be there for your daughter and love your daughter. I get that. But from a business point of view, you've got to move outside of your family unit. The lady in Africa, she's even moved from a different country from her family while she's doing this run. And what with the lockdown situation, she doesn't know when she can get back. Okay. So it's probably something bigger, because people aren't going to pay us to love our families.
I mean, that's the thing, you see, I can stop everything to look after my daughter, but to do something else that I know that I have within me to help other people. And I think it's because it takes, like, there's a journey to get there, you know, so
Yes.
A and B, you know, obviously. So, and I don't see, and that's where, I mean, regardless of my daughter, I see everybody else can do my why much better. Not everybody.
Well, I don't think everyone can do your why better than you. I don't think you can do your why better, but perhaps you need to find a different why, a larger scale why. You know, as someone I know was, they did a whole team building thing where they climb up a huge pole, get so scared, and you know, basically, and when she came back down, she burst into tears, and looked into it, and she said, "It didn't give me what I wanted." And the lesson for that person was, you need to find a higher pole.
Can I interject in this for
yeah, I just wanted to let that moment sink.
Let it sink in.
Does that make sense, Pascal?
Yeah.
You need to find a taller pole. And your daughter's how old, by the way?
11.
Right. Okay. So she's young. She needs time. But is it possible that you could learn to build a business that works in around the hours of when she's at school?
So that's what I've been trying to do for 3 years. So that's the thing that's a bit like, you know, but I always, it's all my mindset, right? It's all the excuses and all the.
Yeah. I was coaching a coach this morning, a very experienced coach, a very good coach, and somebody's just gone off the boil with him. And we're like, do you think it's something in your mind? And he's like, I mean, I know it is. Obvious. It's always us, isn't it? It's always us that's in the way, and it happens. So yeah, you're great, and you're right, and it is, because there are people who have children that age. They're there for them, yet they'll build a business, a great business, in the hours around it. So it can be done. You just need to remember that story when I was in that terrible situation and I got curious and I started seeking out how. It's about, I got the training from the best people. I could have got my training from the wrong people, and that would have been a real waste of time. It's the biggest mistake I see is people trying to get information, if I'm really honest, information cheaply. It's like buying cheap food. It's like buying a cheap car. It's like anything. The cheapest option is normally the most expensive in the long run. Get the best training from the best people. A tennis player will get the best tennis coach they can because it gets them higher faster. It's as simple as that. And I was on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse quite a lot. And I was there and I said the other day, we were talking about coaching, the power of coaching. And I said, any coach will tell you that any coach who hasn't got a coach isn't worth the salt. I've got a couple of coaches, technically 3 now, because you've got to practice what you preach. And they said, any regrets? I said, I do have one regret, that I didn't get a coach sooner. It's the best thing. It's an investment in yourself. Remember I said that people always learn how to do new things. People always want new modalities and this and that, but they're forgetting the one key thing. And this is a prime example. That's how to operate themselves. Because none of these things work until you've learned to operate yourself. And I'm speaking from experience. I've been there. I know once you learn how to operate yourself. So yes, you're right. It is your mindset, because you certainly can learn how to set up a business to work around the hours of your child. More people are doing it now than ever. During, single parents, for example, during lockdown, the beauty of training online is now we are seeing parents, single parents, I don't know if you are a single parent, but single parents who can't afford to travel halfway across the world, who couldn't afford to put the kids in the creche, they're online and the baby's next to them. They can still get access to this stuff now where they couldn't before. So there's a benefit to everything. And if you trigger your entrepreneurial mindset and think differently, I always have a music stand here with notes. And when I do my presentation in here, one is about thinking differently. I've helped lots of businesses during lockdown to make their business, well, actually position themselves to be world leaders in what they do. Well, at least countrywide and continent-wide leaders in what they do because of lockdown. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to their business. Because something went wrong, it forced them to really have to think. And I took them through some processes, some thought-finding processes to really think about what's going on, how they can be different. They found some technology that was out there that no one was using. They used it, become an expert in it. Everybody's going to them and their business has gone through the roof. Wouldn't have even happened had a lockdown happened, because you know what? They was doing okay. No need to change. When something bad happened is when they really started digging in. And that really was the key part of it. Okay. That was really, so yes, you can. I mean, obviously there's more that we can go into tonight because other people are going to speak and things like that. But just to think about that, and, speak to Giles if you ever want to sort of contact us. I'm sure we can help you. Okay, that's that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Aria, yeah, I mean, you understand this kind of stuff and where we come from sometimes. There's these kind of thought processes that go on. But yeah, so think about it in terms of that. There's so many ways you can explore this. And I was exploring this externally about how other people see you and how they present you in the world. Okay, but the answer is always internally. Okay, the answer is internally. But I wanted to say it from a business context to have a different angle of it. how people see you from the outside, because perception is everything, okay? But whatever we're feeling, we project. If we're feeling nervous, we project it. If we're feeling happy, we project it, because again, we're still those primeval people, and it literally comes through our pores. That's why, ladies, you can meet a guy, and if he just doesn't feel right, there's just something a bit odd about him. It's that instinct, okay? It's that thing. You all nod in your head. You all know what I mean, right? That's it. And that goes with everybody. The things we do, people can feel it. So work on yourself on the inside, so then you don't have to fake it before you make it. You can really start accomplishing things. You can learn how to extract the latent potential, as I say, the art of extracting latent potential. You can put that into a dialogue and get someone else to introduce you. That positions you. So I want to talk about success by association. Success, this happened recently, actually. This is really, really funny. There were some people who I invited to a workshop who didn't really know much of what I did. I invited them, come on, and they didn't come. I happened to be on their call, and they asked us about what wins we had. And a very, very big coach, who they look up to, invited me to interview him. And I said, I was really honored. I was asked to interview this world-class coach. Suddenly after that, those people I'd invited to come to my workshop messaged me independently and said, oh, we want to come to the next one. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Success by association. Because they knew I was associated with the other person, my hierarchy went through the roof, and they want to part of it. Strange. Same person, same information. They was too busy before. But because I didn't tell them my whole story, but when they knew I was at that level, they want to come. So think about that. Success by association. Who have you worked with? Who could you be working with, so that you could leverage that name? And that's a key word you may want to write down. Leverage. Leverage with an arrow. Success by association. This helps you to position yourself. Okay. The next thing is success by accomplishment. Success by accomplishment. What have you accomplished in your life relating to your business or your intended business? What have you done? What are your best achievements? What are the things that you think you've really achieved, but relate it to the outcomes that your ideal client would want? Your ideal client. So whether that's someone with dementia. So think about this with dementia, for example, Magdalena. With dementia, who's your client? Is it someone with dementia?
That's the idea of the work, that I'm going for like 2 or 3 weeks and I'm moving into somebody's house.
Yeah, no, I understand. I have a client who does exactly that. But you know what? The person with dementia isn't a client.
I'm sorry, just a moment. I had a phone call and I couldn't hear what you're saying.
Okay, I was talking about positioning, right? And finding about what your ideal client is.
Still, something happened.
Yeah, if you just want to mute yourself, Magdalena. Okay, well, don't worry, Magdalena. Maybe you can catch up later, okay? But the point for everybody is, perhaps someone with dementia is not Magdalena's client, because they may or may not be paying directly. It may be the service care provider who's the client. Okay,
that's what I was thinking about.
Right, so you're right.
Thinking that's what the whole shift is about.
Right, so in which case, think about the benefits you've done.
Yeah. Of the family, people who surround people living with dementia. Right. So we as a society can start treating them as they should be treated, because we're doing something wrong. Yeah, but that's, if you get, that's not where I'm going with this, Magdalena. What I'm talking about is, think about your power, your positioning when you're going for more contracts like this. Think about the power, what you've done to help people, okay? Think about the benefits of your accomplishments, which relate to what the service provider wants, because they're the one who put you into the homes to look after the people. So think of it
Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Jayan?
No, I lost you. I couldn't hear your voice.
Okay.
Yes, I couldn't either.
All right. So what I'm saying is, I want you to think about when it comes to positioning by accomplishment, think about the accomplishments that you've made in terms of what relates to what your client wants. And the example I'm giving to Magdalena is that perhaps in many cases, the person with dementia is not actually your client who's paying you. It's the person who's hiring you to deliver the service to them. So make sure you're pitching it to the right person or the right organization. Does that make sense, Joanne? Yeah? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. Good. So think about that. And that is success by accomplishment. And then think about success by time. What did I say? Over the last 19 years, myself and my international team have been helping thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, and organizations across 15 countries to increase their profits by up to 200%, often in just a matter of a few short months, by working on a team, the systems, the mindset, and the strategy. Blah, blah, blah. Right. So we're talking about time. Because if you said to someone you can help them to get rid of anxiety, in how long? Over 25 years? That's not that impressive. If you can do that in a few sessions, probably that is impressive. So it's about time. So success by time, success by accomplishment, and success by association. Right? These three things start to build your profile, which you can give to somebody else that can position you to be high in what you do, or a market leader in what you do, or even a market challenger in what you do. There's all different marketing terms for this, but all of which say great things about you without you even having to open your mouth. Best of all, if you're doing it without faking, it doesn't cost a single penny. And that way you can generate business. You can give yourself the business and the lifestyle that you want that can become a legacy. I can talk about that another time. And very importantly, you can help more people. I don't know. Has that been useful to you? Has that been useful?
Very.
Yeah.
Very useful.
And is there something you can actually put into action and progress your life and career with there? Yeah. Cool.
Can I just say something about when you were talking to Pascal? Because when
Magdalena, I just wanted to finish up and hand over to someone else. And
oh,
see
sorry.
Is that all right? Is that okay? Yeah. Right. So I just want to ask you very quickly, if there's one thing that you got from that you're going to implement, because it's information is one thing, but you know, knowledge is not power. Only applied knowledge is power. So I want to know from that very quickly, if there's one thing that can help you to take your life, your career forward to help more people, what would it be? Let me ask you, Aurea, what would be one thing there? Just quickly, just one thing. Doesn't matter if it's not your final thing, just one quick bullet point, not a paragraph, not a 10-minute speech, just a quick one thing.
Have somebody else introduce.
Thank you. Okay, great. Jayan, what about you?
A success by time.
Success by times. Thank you. Jason, anything there for you?
Yeah.
Best answer. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to distill these things. There's too much in there to take out. It's sort your positioning out. Be recommended.
Fantastic. Thank you. Pascal?
For me, I think it is definitely getting somebody else to introduce you. And I was just wondering, that could be as well, like when you have a testimonial.
Testimonials is a great thing. I could tell you all about testimonials another day if you want how to really get great.
But it's like like somebody else introducing you, yeah.
Very important. If you do webinars, so important. There's a time scale when you should drop them in as a whole formula. But yeah, absolutely. Great point, Pascal. That's fantastic. Very quickly, Adelina, how about yourself, Magdalena?
I don't know if I can say it quickly, but for me, it's when you said don't fake it. And
you've done it. You said it. You said it. Brilliant. You said it. Don't fake it. That's it. Less is more, and you encapsulated it very well. Because really,
Carl said, many people can do it better than me, but I'm doing it my own way, and it has value to
Absolutely.
somebody.
Absolutely. And I agree with you totally about that, Pascal, because what Magdalena said is that nobody, when you said other people do it better than you, no one can do it better than you because it's genuine. When you're being genuine, no one can do it better. And it doesn't matter if you don't do it perfectly. The power of being genuine is everything. Remember, you know, when people are being genuine, you can sense it. I've seen people do perfect presentations. And sometimes I think that was a perfectly rehearsed piece of work. And then I've seen some people mess it up a little bit. And I'm like, I love that person. That's so genuine. I love it. So never underestimate the power of being genuine, and don't fake it before you make it. My idea is shape it while you're making it. Giles, anything you got from that?
Yeah, oh, so many things. But from amongst the many profound reasons, probably the most one profound thing that springs to mind that inspired me with this is, like you said, like everybody else in the room has said, don't fake it. Don't fake it. Be professional, be the expert in what you do, and take action, you know, which reminds me of what, you know, what a lot of so professional athletes, sports people, and top TV producers and people like that do. You know, they don't think about what it is, spend too much time thinking about what it is they're trying to do. They get a good coach, they get out of their own way, and they take action. You know, they just go for it. They don't hold back. And that, you know, that's the message that I got from what you were saying. I'm also reminded with what you were saying about not getting paid by people and things like that. It kind of reminds me of something that happened last week. And I really, you know, I really hate asking people to part with money. It's always been a bit of a taboo subject in my family. It's caused so many arguments. And whilst I was thinking about it earlier, it reminded me of a conversation I had last week with Enna about money. And something she said was very profound. And I remember when I was with David Snyder on the CPI-4 training, and he said, "You're no good to anyone else broke. So my best advice to you is to make sure you get paid." I told him, I said, "Look, I'm not a good salesperson." And he said, "You don't need to be a good salesperson. You just need to be a good coach or mentor." And I said, "My customers don't have any money." He said, "Yes, they do for the things they want." I said, "My customers are smart and they won't believe me," which he replied, "Yes, they're very smart. And being intelligent makes them only want it more." And what he said next, so profound, it completely changed the way I look at the sales process. He said, when you stop selling and start giving people the opportunity to get what they really want, they will buy what you offer by default because it just naturally feels like the right thing to do. And Enna told me her ex-boyfriend was a comedian, and he noticed how he could never get people to stop looking at their mobile phones and talking over him or pay attention unless they paid for the event first. It didn't seem to matter, even if it was just a small token, just a few pennies, just committed them to the process of enjoying his show and having fun. And suddenly I realized that by giving away what I value for free, I was devaluing myself. You know, because when people say no to you, they're not really saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves. And people tend to automatically put a higher value on experiences that they paid for in advance than the ones that they get for free, no matter how small the contribution is. And Grant, tonight, what you've done for us is absolutely awesome. You know, you've been a real inspiration to us this evening. You know, there's been some great learnings from this experience, and I'd love to have you come in and contribute to this group again. And I'd like everyone in this room to join me and give him a big round of applause. You've been awesome, and then perhaps you take a few questions afterwards.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's
Thank
a
you very
pleasure.
much.
Yeah, if there's time, I know other people need to speak, and that's great. But I'm happy to take questions when the time's right. Absolutely. Thank you. So over to you, Joe. You do what's going to happen.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if nobody else wants to say anything, coming back to this subject of not trying to fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is true, there has to be some depth, and there has to be a real rock solid belief in what it is that you do. And that's what I was alluding to when I was talking about metaframes last week. In order for your message to be perceived as being valuable to your audience, you have to first ask yourself the question, what would need to be true about the person, the kind of person that that would deliver this message? What kind of person would I need to be in order for my audience to naturally feel my energy, to feel the congruency in my message all the way through, so that they would just follow with what I say and feel without any resistance, and being able to act as if you are that person. So when you think about what type of person type of person you would need to be in order for your message to have any meaning and any real value to the person, actually step into that person. You might not have that experience yet. It might be 10 years away before you do that. But just, if you could just, if you like, float up into this place beyond time and space and just transplant yourself down 10 years from now and speak to the younger version of you, bring back all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom and all of the understandings into this present moment of you, how would you walk through the world? How differently would you walk through the world than you have up until now? And when you know you've got that feeling, just lock it in. See what you see, hear what you hear, smell what you smell, taste what you taste. And take that picture, make it bigger, brighter, as bright as you like. When you've got it, just step into it and come back to today.
Great stuff.
So, questions. Jason, have you got anything else that you would like to bring up at this point?
No.
Coming back to Pascal, I'm going to pick on you now. When you're saying that there's other people that are better than you, I mean, how do you know? How do you know? How would you know if none of it was true? I mean, maybe you don't. What if you had all of the resources that you need? What would it be like if you didn't have that? If you could just, whatever's holding you back, and as that happens and you begin to think about it, maybe all the very things that you thought were holding you back become what motivate you powerfully to move forward, to become the very best version of you can possibly be. What would that be like?
Yeah, I see. I don't know if I can change that fundamentally and be the person that I need to be.
But if you could pretend to be that person, what would you be like?
What would I be like? Yeah. Well, I would be full of confidence. I would be very aligned and fulfilled, and I would be fulfilling, yeah, what I'm here on, what I think I'm here to give to others. So, and I'm just aware that, like I have the hurdles in the way, and one of them is what I believe about myself, and I can't shake it off.
Well, this is what it's about. I mean, who are we? The stories we
Mm.
tell ourselves about who we are. What if you could tell yourself a better story? What would that be like?
It would be great, but I've always proved the opposite, so it's hard to believe it.
So how would you know when, when you've got that feeling, when you feel that sense of absolute confidence, purpose and fulfillment, and you're on your right path, what would be the first signal that would let you know that you're on that path? Would it be something?
It would be the results that I've provided from other people's results, really,
Okay, and what would that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's already happened, right? I feel great, when it happens, I feel good for them, and I also feel like, sometimes when I'm really aligned and I'm there in my right place in the world, it's, it's something acting through me. It's not necessarily me, because a lot of things just kind of, it's more intuitive, so
Intuitive.
yeah.
And you feel aligned and everything flows through you, and it
Yeah.
just feels right.
So it's just, and the other person, like, I mean, it happens with friends, for example, and they keep on telling me, oh, like, so, it's really helped them, get clarity, move forward, or, sort of thing. So I know when I'm there, I know I can do it. It's just getting there, getting to get clients. It's that middle bit where I'm struggling. Yeah. It's the marketing, it's all that stuff that it just drains my energy, and I'm not consistent with it. And that's where other people are very, very good. And then I'm like, oh.
Well, go for it, Grant.
Right. So thanks, Giles, and thanks, Pascal, for saying that. So that's where a lot of people struggle. And this is the thing. A lot of people learn the modalities, but don't learn how to run the business. You said other people are better at that. Great. So how could, without me telling you, how could be a way that you could handle that?
So I could either delegate what the bit that I'm not good at, but obviously that takes funds. I have been slowly building up a bit on Instagram and Facebook, doing my own stuff, learning a bit, like on Canva. But I'm just not consistent with it because it doesn't feed me,
So you're right. It's you're either time rich or money rich. Simple as that. No two ways around it. You can't slice or dice it any different. You either throw money at it or you throw time. You've got to have one. Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it to people. You need to do one or the other. You can sit down on Canva and do the odd little post here and there, but unless you're consistent, it's not going to stick. You have to make some decisions in life. And that's what we all responsibility. I said it at the beginning, right? Responsibility. We all have the ability to respond to any given situation. Whether that means we hide our head under the pillow and do nothing about it, that fight, flight, or freeze thing, we all do something. But that is the equation. Now, it doesn't mean to take all week time. It doesn't need to take a fortune of money either. But there is a sliding scale. And there's no other way around it. You can manifest, but can you manifest to order? I know a lot of people, we manifest sometimes, but we probably can't do it to order. Now, if you can't do it to order, with the bank manager, the rent, the rent owner or the mortgage buyer say, oh, that's all right, just go away and manifest. No, they don't speak that language. So you've got a couple of options, either outsource to someone else or spend time learning. But you said it's not really your thing to do that. My honest take on that would be you'd be better off acquiring the money somehow to pay someone else to do it. Because again, if you don't like doing it, you're not going to put your best work into it. It's not going to feel good. And the ability that you've got to help other people, that shine's going to come off. And you're not going to present any other than your best version. Okay? Or you're not going to present your best version. So, you know, some people love marketing. I mean, like, you know, I'm not particularly great at social media. Don't do much of it. I don't pay for advertising. I've never had, which is both clever and stupid in the same go. If I'm really honest, you can go faster with advertising. I just don't do it. Okay, but that's me, because it's got to suit your personality type. It's no good following someone else. But I've just listened to you. It's not your thing. You clearly don't like it. It would be better, I think, if you did whatever you did to get some money to pay someone else to do it. Do a great job because they love it. I had a conversation recently with a great social media person, and we just sat there for 40 minutes. Said, what I'll do with you, I would do this with someone else, but not you. You're good at that. You're rubbish at that. Da, 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 da. I'll present you like that. It would have taken me 6 or 7 years to have worked that out, which would be very, very stupid and cost me a lot of money, because in that time, all that money I wouldn't earn where I was trying to figure it out on the cheap. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
The biggest problems I see is people try to figure it out on the cheap. So, you know, to remain congruent with that, I pay other people to do things I'm not very good at. Okay, so that I can concentrate on what I do. And I would probably say that would be the best advice for you. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds, I mean, that's always what I've kind of thought, you know, but just getting the funds together, because on a monthly basis, I mean, obviously it's the return on it is, it's investing, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's always investing, and the best investment you could ever make is on yourself, because you are at the center of everything. You are the hub of it all. And it's very empowering to do that, because when you do invest in yourself, people change the moment they've done it. The moment they've done it, they change. They just become better. And I never used to be one of those people. I never used to do it. And when I did, I knew the difference. And I'm like, yeah, I've been a bit stupid for a while. I hadn't done that. And when people do, they get higher, faster, and it feels better. So it wins on all directions. Yes, I know it's a catch-22. You've got to get the money in the first place, but make it. Where can you take time from some part of your life to put that into earning more money, to reinvest that money? And remember, people don't make money from what they earn. It's only in how they invest it. Maybe time to step up and let the world see you. Don't become the world's best kept secret.
I like that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I guess we're getting on the edge of the time boundary now. I don't know whether anyone else wants to come in. I'm hoping that, how many of you found this useful this evening? Fantastic. So, well, I guess that just about wraps it up. Jason, would you like to lead us out, or Grant, would you like to lead us out with some kind of a trance tonight, with some good feelings in there for everybody, and we'll bring this meeting to a close. And next week we'll talk a little bit more about stories specifically. We've done the we've done the groundwork on that. If anyone wants us to, to go through meta frames again quickly next week, we can do that. We'll see who shows up. We should be getting Amelia back next week at least, and probably Anna as well. And I'd just like to thank everybody for being here. I mean, it's been such a, eye-opening experience. I mean, there was so much power in your message there, so much resonated with me, Grant. It really, really did. But the one thing that really stood out is that you take action, and you know, you're smart enough to know when when there are other people that are better at doing things than you are to do the job, and to just pay them and not have the and not have to worry about it. I've been grappling with social media accounts and advertising and all. I don't want to know about all that rubbish.
You're way better at that than I am. I can promise you. You're way better at it. And
but then I lose sight of my own message.
And Giles and Jason will tell you about me and technology. It's like it just doesn't work. So I'm not
really good.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I never used to be the guy who used to invest in myself a long time ago, but I do now because it's just quicker and it makes life easier. And like I say, just invest what you can. That you can go up in the steps that you can. I'd love to lead you out in a chance, but I've got to say, Jason does it so well.
Magdalena's got a question, I think. There, she's got her hand up.
I'm desperate to say something. It was too much silence for me. I have a question. I have a question to Grant.
Yes.
When you said to Pascal, find a bigger pole.
Yeah.
My question is, because she stated her biggest why, her biggest reason is her daughter. If this is such a priority in my life, I'm determined to make my business work in order to be able to spend time with my daughter.
Mm.
She stated that she has some successes. She has people telling her, this is brilliant. It really helped me. So she has feedback. It's good. Would it be helpful to sit down, look what she's doing and sort of analyze what she's doing right and maybe what she's supposed to start doing different to get feedback on the new approach?
Sure. And if Pascal would like, I mean, you can book in a little session with me if you like. I'll give you a complimentary session and we'll just go for a little fact finding, just a strategy session to help you with that if you'd like. I'm not here to promote myself or anything.
No, thank you. I feel like all eyes have been on me most of the evening. I feel very
It's sort
blessed.
of, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you just sort of, a perfect person to talk about. But when Jian was talking about herself, and she actually came almost like apologizing, like, I am a practitioner, but I don't use NLP in business. And this was very similar to Grant's story. She was like, I spend a lot of money paying for the technologies for training, but I'm not actually using it. So it's sort of frozen. So it's a little bit like you're saying people are doing it better than I do.
It's not like
And
that.
still you came, I mean, when you said that, for me, my feelings were the same like Grant's, and I was so happy he actually pointed it, that it was great. Because coming up and like you, Pascal, you can state, humbly, maybe I didn't have many clients, but I had a few, and they said it changed their life, and I'm here to touch more lives. And nobody will take it as a weakness. They will take it as a strength. I think I did, and I'm pickish.
Everybody's got amazing strengths. As I say, I believe everybody's got brilliance inside of them.
Yes.
I don't know where we've hid it. So I consider it my honor, if you will, to try to bring that out of people, partly for their benefit, but more so for the benefit of the other people that they can help. So it's not helping one person, it's helping hundreds, if not thousands.
Really?
Jason, would you lead us out with a trance?
You on the trance?
Yeah, I'd love a trance.
Another one, Grant. I saw you 2 days ago. Okay, so begin to find yourself somewhere comfortable and relaxed. And you can either have your cameras on or turned off, whichever you
I will
feel.
have to switch it off because I'm holding the phone.
And some people like to just sit there and first of all concentrate on the breathing rate. And suddenly, before long, You discover a natural rhythm that's just right for you. As you begin to focus your attention on that breathing, breathing all the way into the belly to fill the diaphragm and allow that breath just to permeate and do its job to oxygenate your wonderful blood. You can also have your eyes open or closed, and if they're closed, allow them to just rest softly on your cheeks. And if they're open, then allow them to gently gaze on nothing in particular. I want you to take a moment just to experience the feeling of relaxing and allow that feeling to magically grow and expand, filling your whole body, all the way from the top of your head down to the soles of your feet, from wall to wall, floor to ceiling, and all of those wonderful parts in between. Allow it to grow deeper and deeper still. That's right. You know, what's really interesting is anybody can relax any of those muscles, and they can relax any muscles, so they just don't want to work anymore. Very easiest ones to relax are those tiny muscles in the eyelids. You know, you can allow them to close now if they're not already closed. And you can relax those tiny muscles, because the more they relax, the heavier they become and the deeper you go. And the deeper you go, the more they relax and the heavier they become. And the deeper you go, down, down, deeper down, all the way relaxed, drifting and floating. And in this session this evening, as you're in this wonderfully relaxed state, just want to recap some of the things that Grant has mentioned in his session there. One of those key points was not to fake it until you make it. Act with congruence. So be congruent from the beginning. We've all got things that we're really good at. Allow those things to naturally shine. And the things that you're not so good at, well, they'll get better along the way. And sometimes it's easier, quicker, and cheaper in the long run to just outsource those things. But it's important for you now to identify the strong points, those things that you're really, really good at. You know, a few years ago, I was talking to somebody and they said using an extended quote. And what they said was, on your worst day, you're a better version of yourself than anybody else on the planet is on their best day. On your worst day, you're a better version than anybody on the planet is on their best day at being you. And you know, we all have things to bring to the table and offer. What you want to do now is allow those things to grow and to simmer. Now imagine a timeline and looking along the timeline into the future, wherever that is for you. I want you to create a version of yourself 5 years in the distance, 5 years in the future. And as you stand looking at yourself 5 years in the future, I want you to look at that person and notice how they stand. And they're standing in a way that's congruent with where you want to be in 5 years. They're behaving in exactly the way you want to behave. And they're achieving all of those results that you want to achieve now. As you stand and watch, I want you to notice how they're standing. Notice what people are saying about them and where they are. In a moment, you're going to take a massive step into the body of that new version of you. And you're going to try it on for size, and what's going to happen is magical. So on a count of 3, I want you to step inside the new version of you, behave in the way that you want to behave in the future, and getting all of those wonderful results. 1, 2, 3. Step into the new version of you and allow those thoughts and feelings to really manifest themselves through your whole body so that you can see through your eyes and hear through your own ears, and allow those feelings to multiply 5, 10, 15 times stronger. Really feel what it's like to live the life you want with all of those wonderful skills and energies, getting those results that you want to get. And I'll leave you for a few more seconds. Now, drifting, floating up high in the sky, out of that body. I want you to magically find yourself floating back down through space and through time to a position directly above your head now. And then drifting down slowly so that you once again occupy your own body. And as soon as you integrate into yourself, I want the exchange to take place where you download all of those lessons, those thoughts, those feelings from the future you into the present time now. That's right. And allow those feelings to double. And allow those confidences to grow. And allow any limiting beliefs that you had once upon a time to fade even further back. In fact, you can even try and bring them back. See what happens instead. That's right. Very good. So in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And on 5, you can come back into this version of reality, bringing with you the new excitement, the new determination, the new drive, and the new focus of where you are now. Feeling wonderful, relaxed and calm. To be free of any limiting beliefs holding you back so that you can get your aims and your goals and you can see all these things with clarity and you can really feel them. You can feel the pull, the magnetic pull of the goals pulling you towards them. Because there's always 3 solutions to any problem. Your unconscious mind will always know 3 solutions to present you at any time. We did that exercise there because it's for you, to give you the permission to get out your own way, to give you an insight as to what the future will look, feel, smell, and taste like. What will people say? How will you feel? And what results will you be getting now? Before I reach the final count in my number sequence, only at the rate and speed that you can fully integrate all of those lovely learnings, those magnificent feelings and thoughts, can you come back into this version of reality. Upgrading like a phone upgrades its software. 5. Take all the time you need to come back into this room now. Welcome back, Giles. Welcome back, Grant. Welcome back, everybody else.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect end to a
Perfect session.
perfect evening. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for making this evening what it is, and which is a very special moment. And unless anybody else is going to say, this is Giles saying over and out. See you next week.